Hi, and welcome to the Creating, Living, and Making podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Adam Mackey, and as always, I'm joined by Morley Kurt and Grant Alexander.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, I forgot to pause for you to say hello.
It's okay. I kind of felt it. Game time decision. We're good.
So what's up, guys? What have you been up to?
Grant, why don't you start us off?
Yeah.
All right. So I have been. So, you know what? I want to even go before we even go into what I've been up to. I want to introduce the topic. So if you can back it up and talk about the topic, because I think we can just expand a little bit on some of the stuff we're working on, as that's what potentially the. So go ahead and introduce the topic.
Do we just leave a blank space? Or just silence for 30 seconds?
How about this? How about you just start the whole thing over? And this time pause so that Morley can say hello. And then we'll go right and then just say like...
I don't quite understand. You want him to introduce our topic of not having a topic?
Exactly. Because that way, like, part of what like I'm talking about, I can expand and ask questions a little more than I would normally do.
Okay. I mean, I think we can just do that. I don't think...
I think we just leave all this in.
Okay. So, I've been working on editing the camping video. And it's been kind of kicking my butt a little bit because I realized that there were a couple times where I did the I pressed the record button and that turned the recording off instead of returning So I got a bunch of walking. So I got about 10 feet from a deer, which would have been awesome. And I was talking in the camera the whole time, talking about, wow, I can't believe this deer is on the path. This is amazing. And then at the end, guess what I got?
Just you getting to the deer and then nothing after?
Walking away from the deer, and it's just pointed at the ground. So I have a picture because at the same time I was filming, I was taking pictures with my phone. So I have a picture of it, but it's like, it was so cool. And I really wanted to have that as like a big highlight of my trip, because for me it was. And I don't have it. And I've also missed a bunch of using my saw, but it like doesn't really matter. But I did it a couple times. So it's like the heat was really getting to my head. I wasn't thinking. Because normally I like to actually look to make sure I'm recording.
You just get back home and you realize that all your footage is just movie Castaway.
Yeah.
So you got it. You said you got a picture, right?
I got a picture.
Yeah,
and it's a really good picture.
So put the picture in the video and then add a pan across, so it looks like you had the camera on a tripod on a slider.
Yeah,
I don't know how believable that'll be.
Yeah, it's also a landscape or a portrait instead of a landscape.
Yeah, I did that for my tool wall.
So then I would have to like a pan up. It would just look. Yeah. Anyways, I will definitely do that. It just won't be as good as the conversation I had at the time. Like going like, wow, it's right on the path, and I can't believe, it's starting to move, and like, I can't believe I'm getting this close, and all that was like in the moment commentary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's gone.
Man. I'm sorry, that's really frustrating.
Yeah.
And then on top,
it's funny. We have a video from when I was younger, like an old camcorder when we went away on a trip, and the exact same thing. It's like filming before the show starts, and then it just cuts to the show finished. And you can clearly see that whoever it was like didn't realize it was recording, and that's so funny.
Yeah, it just. Anyways,
it's
frustrating to go like. There's a couple spots that I wanted a little more footage of and missed out on, and I cut the trip short a day, so now I've lost out on like a whole bunch of other footage I could have had, and I went, well, at least I got that good. That really good footage there. But anyways, it's fine.
So you think of just scrapping it, or are you going to kind of power through it?
I'm going to power through it. It's just not going to be the video I wanted it to be. I'm going to make it way shorter, basically. But I've done some rough editing up to this point, and I really like it. So, like, compared to a build video where I have like, some build videos, I have 4 hours of footage for a 12-minute video, right? This is, I have an hour of footage and I wanted to make like a 30-minute video out of it. So we'll see what happens. There'll just be a lot less on the cutting room floor, but it's a lot less repetitive too. You're not doing you're not cutting, a board in half 15 times. You're doing something different every time.
Yeah,
it just sucks that it was like that one big moment that,
Just to go back a bit to the amount of footage versus what you think the final video will be. That's what's really nice about editing the cooking videos when Eden and I make those, because like the final video has so far been like 15-ish minutes, and it's like 30 minutes of footage. It's basically just cutting out the dead space. And like when it's the two of us just going back and forth, it goes, and it's such an easy edit.
Yeah.
Those can be after editing build videos, which are not like that at all. It's a nice change of pace.
Yeah. But anyways, that's what's been I've been like opening that up, doing 10 minutes worth of work on it, and then going like, this is like, it's just like frustrating because of what happened. Anyways, the other thing I've been working on is last week I mentioned that I got a canoe, and with the canoe came with some paddles, and I sanded all the varnish off of them, and I had my wife add and Adam's laughing because he thinks it looks like something different, but I had my wife add some wood burning to it, and I posted a picture on Instagram, and it will include the picture. It's on my story, so we'll include it in the Patreon exclusive post. But
what's the picture of?
The picture is of a bull, and Adam thinks it looks like boobies with a girl with like, I don't know, hair or arms or something. Anyways, Morley's probably trying to pull it up now.
I think I accidentally just played the audio from your story as I was trying to find it. Did it expire already?
No. I showed my gym buddy, and she said the same thing as me. I said, what does this look like to you? And she goes, boobs.
Oh, it literally just expired. That's so funny.
Oh, wow.
Damn. The universe is really fighting you this week, Grant.
Yeah, that just seems to be the way it is. But give me 1 second, and
are you gonna?
I just sent it to you.
All right, let's see. I'll be the final judge of this.
Yeah.
Oh, think it has horns, so like that. No,
that's the Hindu lady's arms.
Oh my gosh! Now I can't unsee it.
Exactly.
Yeah, so, I'm not sure. I mean, the horns are very clearly horns, but the rest of it is. It looks cool though. It's a cool graphic.
It's a cool graphic. My aunt designed it. My aunt, who's passed away, designed it like.
Adam, you feel like a jerk.
That just make me feel like a jerk.
Yeah. So, yeah. Anyways, it represents like our last name.
Cool.
That's why it's like not going to be like a full-on post, but I'm happy sharing it with. And people would have to guess what it actually my last name is based off a picture. So, anyways, it's definitely a bull, not boobies. But for anyone who wants to
do with Alexander,
exactly. Yeah. So, but I've been doing Spar Varnish on it. So, Spar Varnish is like marine varnish. And it is oil based, and it took over 24 hours to cure with all the humidity. It's been crazy. And what sucks is once you put it on there, you basically can't make any dust until it's. Oh. So it's like, I put it on there like not thinking, and then went, well, I guess that's the end of this day. Like I wish I'd done it later on, like made a whole bunch of dust and then did it. But so that's what I'm going to do the second coat tonight. Once this is over. The other thing is I made a scrap wood thing that you'll have to stay tuned and find out what it is, but it's for Sumo's scrap wood challenge. So Sumo's project is he's a guy, Dirk is his name. He's in Australia, just like this Maker Mackie guy, and he put out a little challenge with prizes. It's due August 8th and 9th. You can post your video anytime in there, and just needs to be a 3-minute video using scrap wood. And so he announced that I was going to make this it's called a Spar Gauge. It's for making, for marking out square or rectangular stuff so that you can mark it out so that you can turn it into an octagon, and then from the octagon you can make it into a circle. So it's like a canoe paddle. You would mark it out, turn it into an octagon with a spoke shave, and then from it being an octagon, it makes it a lot easier to round off the edges of an octagon to make a circle rather than trying to make a circle out of a square.
Gotcha.
And circle takes a square for the old people to get that reference.
I'm lost.
I was going to say, yeah.
Right over my head.
Celebrity tic-tac-toe.
I remember that show.
Yeah. So it's a Spar Gauge. I made it. I wasn't going to make a video of it, but because it was going to be like a 2 to 3 minute video, he put out this challenge.
Perfect.
Now you guys are going to get the video, so that's always good.
It's always kind of cool to get like a reason to make something out of like a video out of something that you wouldn't have expected.
And that brings me to another 2 other things that I'm going to be working on. Is I've been designing. I know, just small stuff though. I've been designing my, and I think Morley might have been doing this too. Working on the Enlighten Us Challenge lighting. My lamp. It's not going to be a lamp. It's going to be more like a chandelier. But yeah, so we'll see what happens there. I have an idea in mind, and I've bought the parts for it. So hopefully it works out. And so that's also due in August. And then another thing I'm working on for August is I'm working on a maker swap with Dead Rise Woodcrafts. And I've got a project in mind that'll hopefully work out for that swap. So he's a guy, he's mainly a wood turner. And he asked 12 people to send him something, and he'll send something in return. And I'm August, so he's done one a month. Andy Berkey was July. Yeah. So
cool.
I got a lot of stuff due in August. That's all I'm going to say. And then I don't really want to go into what that is because I know he's a listener. But anyways, he's going to hopefully be excited for whatever I'm making. And the last thing is I bought a printer. Everyone's like, oh, a printer? Like a 3D printer?
A 2D printer.
A 2D printer. Yeah, I bought a laser.
I didn't even think of a 3D printer. I just assumed a normal computer printer.
Yeah, I bought a laser printer. And I haven't had a printer in 15 years. But
wow.
Laser paper printer, or it prints with a laser? Have you seen those, like the portable laser cutter things?
Yeah.
Laser engraver? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So, I guess I can since moving out of my, the house I grew up in, I haven't had a printer. I've used them at libraries whenever I've needed them. Right. But I guess you don't really necessarily need to print stuff out in day-to-day life. And if you work in an office, then.
Yeah.
But I haven't been to the office in 3 or 4 months, right?
Oh, okay.
And the libraries are closed, and copy centers weren't open, and there's sometimes you're just like, oh, I just like to print out this template for this piece of wood. And what I've always done instead is I've done grid lines that match to an inch. So I've done inch grid lines on everything and then drawn it out freehand on the wood. And I like that. It's a fun way of doing it, but
I used to do that to actually learn to draw.
Oh, yeah?
Just do that to draw on a piece of paper. Put grid lines over a photo on the computer and then copy it to a piece of paper.
Oh, that's cool. I never thought of doing that. Anyways, I spent pretty much 4 hours today trying to get the printer to connect via my router. It doesn't have a...
Oh my God. There are a few things more infuriating than setting up printers via Wi-Fi. I was doing an internship one summer on a construction site, and we were I was working out of the trailer every day, and we went through 3 printers that summer. Because we basically had an engineering office on site, and we were doing so much printing. It was, printers are so infuriating in general.
So this was
as Office Space has taught us.
Yeah. Well, and that was what I was feeling the problem was that it was PC load letter, but I'm it hasn't. Why does it say paper jam when there is no paper jam? Anyways, it ended up that it like installed itself twice on my computer. And I had set up.
This is making me mad listening to.
Yeah. So, and it's not even a Wi-Fi printer, but I have a USB port on my router. So it's like I've kind of hacked it. So I tried like talking to the people at Brother about how to do it, and they basically just kept telling me that that's not how our printers work. You can't do that. I was like, it worked. It worked one time. I printed a test page. Everything was working fine. I went to go print again, and it wouldn't work anymore. And it was because it installed a copy of itself, and that disabled the first version. And I'd set the first version as the default. Anyways.
Great calls, brother. They say we can't do that. Well, our printers don't do that. And he turns around and says, hold my beer.
Right. So I've now printed out a coloring book for my son. So
a what learning book?
Coloring book.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, CBC Canada put it out. And it's like color all the different provinces. So there's like a coloring page from each province.
Nice.
I need that.
Yeah. Well, I'll include the link in the show notes.
For everyone who wants a Canada coloring book, all our listeners.
There's
a printer right next to me, and it hasn't had ink for so long because ink's so damn expensive, and I just refuse to pay for ink.
Right. So that's why I got a laser printer. So I had until I think last year I finally threw it out. I had a printer. It didn't have ink for 15 years because I bought ink once. I used the printer once. I went to go use it again 6 months later. It didn't work. I threw it. I said, nope, that's the end of that. I never bought ink for it again, but I only threw it out last year. So
laser printer uses a toner?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I will probably end up buying one of those. Like, I reckon I'd print so much more if I had a good printer that wasn't always out of ink.
Yeah, like I think there's so many people who like put out plans and stuff like that online, and like sometimes you just want to do a project and you just want to like kind of be led by someone.
Yeah.
And if you have plans that you can print out, it's great. You take them, you don't worry about dust getting all over them. You don't worry about like you can write notes right on them while you're working, like, oh, I want to make this a little bit different. Okay, great. Right? You just write on the piece of paper. You can do like I don't take my laptop into my dusty garage.
Yeah,
because
I'm one of those people that prefers paper anyway. Like I can't read like a ebook or anything. Like it has to be. I just can't do it. I don't know why. I prefer to have paper. Yeah.
I don't know.
All right. Any other printer talk?
No, but I thought maybe that might segue nicely into someone who's been making plans.
Oh, me?
See. I tried to set up the segue nicely, but
who, me? Anyways, I've been working on. I finished up this guy this week, and for the listeners, wait, I got to make the sound. Okay, little flippy minimalist card wallet, and I did so it's canvas and leather, and I made a 3D printed template for it, and you can't really see it in this lighting, but this is embossed. So I also did a 3D printed stamp for that. So it's I'm really happy with this design. Like it's really nice to use, especially with the canvas and leather. The canvas is essentially like a living hinge, and then the leather just forms the backs and is kind of an accent. So it's very nice to use. So I'm putting out a template for it as well as the STL files for the 3D printed template and stamp. When I put out the video. So
I saw that stamp. It looks really cool that you can do that.
Yeah, thank you. It's super exciting. And I've actually, since doing this wallet, I've actually found that kind of embossing with leather stamps works better. So I wet the leather and then hammered the stamp onto it like you would treat it with most leather stamps. But what I've tried since then is really soaking the leather so it gets super soft and then clamping the stamp onto it.
I was going to say, like what if you clamp it and just let it to dry?
Yeah, so that works a good deal better, I found.
Yeah.
Clamping works better? I like it.
Yeah, clamping. There we go. And I actually got the idea, I think, from Jimmy's his notebooks videos, because that's how he gets that like really crisp embossing in his bookbinding press. It actually made me want to get a bookbinding press, but maybe.
This is like... I was going to say, this is like one of the things that I love about the maker community. Like, I would never have thought with a 3D printer to print. I mean, I don't do leather work. I want to, but like, it would have never crossed my mind that you could print your own 3D like stamps for leather.
Yeah, and I had a guy tag me on Instagram today saying that he got the idea and tried it out to great success.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
Like, it's crazy. Like, so if I had a 3D printer, that wouldn't even cross my mind. But you get a 3D printer, and like that's what you think about. Like, I just love how everyone's just so different and has different ideas.
Yeah, for sure. Like,
it's amazing.
Yeah, I feel like I look on like there's 3D printing subreddit, and it's like so many things that like I would never. I would love to do at some point, but I would never think of doing first. It's like your knee-jerk reaction is going to be so unique.
Yeah, in like what I was thinking when you were making that. Well, you're doing the Makers on Zoom having coffee keychain. When I saw that, I went, "Oh, you could just make a stamp, like boom, or like almost like not a branding iron, but instead of a branding iron, you just make an ink-based stamp with a 3D printer."
Yeah,
easily.
I was actually looking into that today, and it will work, right? Like if you have a raised surface and you put it in ink. I'm just kind of skeptical about like it's so hard that I don't know how good of a stamp it would leave. And like if I wanted to do one like with my logo or something, maybe I would do it. But at that point, it's like I might as well just try carving a rubber blank. And I don't know if you guys follow Dave Bauer, but he recently did that. Like he carved a leather stamp.
I was just going to mention, cool. That's exactly who I was going to mention. I was like, he's got a bookbinding press. Have you seen like he just bought one? Yeah.
No, I mean, because I don't like with the way Instagram algorithm work, I only see like one post from everyone every month. So
I know that's a whole topic on its own. Is how ridiculous Instagram is.
Yeah, I just forget people exist. Anyways, but yeah, I think
get started on Twitter.
I think stamp, like ink stamp wise, I'm not as excited about it as the leather stamps. Especially with the customization options for like commission work.
But I don't do leather work.
Yeah, so. But I'm talking about me.
Right, and I'm talking about me.
Yeah, Grant, I'll 3D print you a
solder iron?
Is that
no? It's just a screwdriver that has like a little thing that like pops out, so that you can get extra torque.
Oh,
but then it also
kind of looks neat idea.
Yeah,
it's because like conveniently it looks like a gun.
Yeah, but we're in Canada, so it's illegal.
Yes. So 3D printed leather stuff is exciting, and I think I'll have this video out by the time the podcast drops. I will go out on a limb and say I will. So check the show notes, and that video will be there. And
how many cards can that hold? Sorry. How many cards can that hold?
So this can hold 4 cards easily. You can probably stuff some more in there. But the reason I did that is because for a few years now, I've been carrying around a bulky store-bought bifold wallet. And I've realized that I only need 4 cards with me 99% of the time. I need my credit card, my debit card, my driver's license, and like a transit card if I'm taking public transit. And like the other 1% of the time, I can just grab a card for that specific scenario.
That's how I live.
Yeah, and like I am basically living in a cashless society at this point. Like I only will have cash if someone gives it to me.
See,
especially during like lockdown.
Yeah, during now, cash is pretty much useless. But I always had cash on me. Because there's always that one time I'm going to like I'm really thirsty, or I used to smoke. I want a pack of cigarettes, and you go to this like corner store, and they don't accept debit or credit. And you're like, who doesn't accept debit or credit? It's like, well, this would be like, 2015.
We've had it the opposite with COVID. We don't accept cash. What?
Yeah, that's a lot of places here.
I just filled up my tank with petrol, and you won't accept my money. Okay, well, I'm not paying.
And it's like I think I need cash for 2 main things where I live. Number 1 is the laundromat because I don't have laundry in my apartment. And number 2 is all the hole in the wall little restaurants that are cash only because they're trying to avoid taxes.
That would have been really funny if you just stopped at the hole in the wall.
Yeah, just holes in the wall.
Have you read Global News? Morley?
Like the news network?
Yeah, global. Or have you checked out, like, I know you spent some time in BC because the BC Health Ministry is recommending glory holes.
What?
Yep. And it's on
What
Global
content?
News, which is a national news network. You know, because of coronavirus.
I need context.
Because of coronavirus, if you don't want to breathe on people, glory holes.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I'll include the link to that as well in the show notes because it's unbelievable that a national news network is recommending glory holes.
Speaking of that, actually made me think that I theoretically could get away with just carrying around 2 cards. My transit card and then my work. I have a card for work to like get indoors and stuff. Mm-hmm. Because my credit card, my debit card are both on my watch and my license is on my phone. Mm-hmm. We have digital licenses. So,
oh, really? That's cool.
Yeah. I mean, really? We have both. So the digital licenses have just come in and you don't have to do them. Like you don't have to do a digital license if you don't want to. But yeah, because there's a lot of controversy around it. People are like, well, what if my phone's flat and I can't show you my license if I get pulled over by the police? Or what if an old person doesn't have a phone and stuff and all that? Well, so they still let you have the normal ones as well.
I'd like to have a normal one, but be able to show my digital one.
Yeah, that's what we can do.
Cool.
Because
that nice. Would like I guess theoretically I could also go on, Grant.
Go ahead.
Okay, I was just gonna say like theoretically I could also just get rid of my debit card and credit card, but I just have them because that's how I've always had it, and I just haven't futured. Oh, Adam's dropping stuff.
I dropped my phone.
Adam really likes to show us. Did it break? It looks broken now.
It already was.
Oh, okay.
Check out my license photo. Holy
nice.
Far out.
What a stud.
But yeah, so we have digital like that, and then this QR code here is so that you can sign into pubs and clubs and stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
You like show it to the screen and it signs you in. So yeah.
I wonder if that will make fake IDs harder or easier to make.
I think harder because it has like the police can scan your phone and see if it comes up real. And I was thinking about that, like, because, you know, some people drive like well disqualified or cancelled license or whatever. It would come up on the screen like disqualified across it and stuff. You couldn't just, like here we have random breath test sites where like the police will just pull over the side of the road, set up a thing. You got to pull in, show your license, breathe into the breath test, and then they'll let you go. Because they just look at your license and don't check it in the computer, you could just hand them the license if it's cancelled. They wouldn't even know, and then you just drive off. But with the digital, you couldn't do that.
Interesting.
Yeah. This is same here.
Yeah. Hmm.
Well, no, because I feel like anytime I've gotten pulled over, they walk back to the squad car with your license. And
if you get pulled over, but not if you get pulled over for a random breath test, like in a bay. Like they're just getting as many cars through as possible.
Yeah, they're called ride tests here.
Yeah, we call them RBTs.
Okay.
Random breath test, because, you know, makes sense.
Never had that experience. Other things I've been up to this week, we put out the Into the Spotlight episode with John Kipoff, who is a really cool guy in the maker community. He does a lot with digital fabrication and coding and woodworking. His projects are awesome, but I think him as a guy and his interviewing and all his stories are equally, if not more awesome and interesting.
That was a really interesting episode.
Oh, you finished it? You liked it?
Yeah, I really liked it. And like the amount of knowledge he has, and like he's just like pulling quotes off the like apparently wall. I just thought it was awesome. Like he's a very interesting guy for sure. I'm actually surprised he doesn't have his own podcast. But
I know. I feel like we really got him early, and I'm really happy about that. So that was really exciting. We had that conversation like a couple of weeks ago at this point. Just like weren't able to get it out as soon as we wanted for a couple of reasons, but very happy with that. And that was cool. We also had another great recording this week with a musician. Nice. So that should be out in the next couple of weeks, but yeah, we're off and running. It's exciting.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. And I also just today finished another custom dog patch That
those patches are so cool.
Thank you.
Like every time you post them on Instagram, like that must take a lot of like fiddling.
Yes, it's a lot of
like,
it's meticulous.
Yeah, it's crazy. They look good, but
thank you. Yeah, so this one was a referral from Grant. I did Grant's. Sorry, Grant. What is the breed of rivet again?
Miniature Schnauzer.
So Grant's miniature Schnauzer rivet, and this one was a Sheltie. So very like different looking dog, and it was a challenge because like Shelties have such like a layering of hair, fine hair and colors. But it was fun. Like,
yeah, I remember seeing the patch on Instagram, and I just thought you must have so much patience.
Yeah, it's funny. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. I feel like sometimes you just find those things where they're difficult, but you can like, it's not stressful, and I feel like I can kind of zero in on it and just like keep fiddling, and I know that it'll turn out, and I kind of have a vision in my head, and it's a challenge, but it's like you get into a flow state. Or
it's like people don't like sanding.
I don't mind
like
sanding if I have a really interesting podcast.
I skip sanding quite a lot.
See, I like sanding. What I don't like is putting finish on. Usually, like when everyone's like, "Oh, do 3 coats," I almost always do 1.
Oh, yeah, same.
But I'll sand for hours.
Yeah.
But I'll only ever do 1 coat. It's like I've done 3/4 of the finishing, and then it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, most of my sanding is relatively small stuff, so I don't have that bad of a relationship with it. But I have, when I was working at the set shop, I did some pretty like almost entire days of just sanding flats and just sanding the spackle down, and that's an experience. Anyways,
I really hate sanding walls, like trying to get it completely flat so you can't see it through the paint. It's the worst.
Yeah, that's what this is. But luckily, since they're flats, you can just lay them down and just bend over it. Like, it's very ergonomic.
Yeah.
It's just tedious. And as Grant mentioned, I've also been working on my Because We Make Enlighten Us challenge, which I will not say much about because I'm trying to keep it on the DL until it's done. But I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be pretty cool. And some other things.
Ready to start mine.
Nice. Yeah. Well, on that note, Adam, what else have you been up to this week?
So I decided that I'm thinking about building a new workbench and getting rid of the one I have. It really bothers me that like I love my workbench, but it's never flat, and I just don't have the time or patience to flatten it every however long I need to do it. So I'm thinking of like designing something with like a removable MDF top.
Yeah, that's
so
what we use at the set shop.
Yeah,
it just makes it like for production.
Because I don't really use my workbench for like doing work as much. I more use it for assembly and stuff. And like I put the other day I built another like baby activity gym, but a bigger one because my wife wanted a longer one. And like I literally put 2 pieces of bought wood that were already planed down and everything on the bench, screwed them together with pocket holes, and they weren't like flat together. And it just really bothers me. So, and then I thought if I make it with a removable top, then I can just, if it gets grubby or whatever, just replace it. If it gets, and that, yeah. And then I've been designing a farmhouse table that I want to try and make to sell. Like I was talking about last week, how I want to try and make a business out of this now and that. And on that, I'm not going to buy a welder because I didn't decide. I was looking at Bunnings, and for the price it would cost me just to buy the metal, I can buy the exact same design legs that I would have made. That makes sense. Yeah. So, and they're like pre-finished, pre-painted and everything. So I'm like, well, just for the metal, then I've got to buy paint on top. Plus I don't know what I'm doing. Plus I need to buy stuff for the grinder to grind it all down after it's been welded and getting a nice paint job and stuff. Or I spend the same amount of money on the metal and just buy the legs.
See, I think you need to like expand your horizons and get outside of the Bunnings place, because it's the same with like if I go to Home Depot to try and buy wood at like oak, or if I go there to buy metal, it's insanely priced versus like a hardwood dealer or metal supermarket. Right? Like it's I think you're just going to the wrong place to look at prices.
Probably.
You gotta look around.
Yeah.
Well, I also think the other.
I think I'll like. Sorry, go on.
I think the other consideration with if you want to get into welding is if you wanted to do custom legs. Like if you just want to do the legs that other people are making, then you're right. Like it probably doesn't make a lot of sense to get it yourself because they can probably do it cheaper at scale. But I think where it really would come in clutch is if you wanted to like make your own original ideas.
Yeah, which is what I'm thinking. Like with the farmhouse table, I know the legs I want. They're like, I know the design. It's in my head, and I've been like trying to come up with it. The legs are what I want them to be. That's exactly what they are. That I can buy already pre-made, pre-finished, and everything. I think if I wanted to go into more in depth with actually making custom legs and stuff, then I'll definitely look into getting a welder in that. So I mean, I'm not getting one now, but I might get one in the future. Because I do want to try and expand away from wood, but
if there's any listeners out there who want to hook Adam up with a welder, just send him send a message on Instagram.
Yeah,
well, that's how like the guys from Fools with Tools, like the one guy Alex Hack Shack, like he got a welder, like it's a stick welder. But I'm pretty sure he got it like just. Somebody knew was going to like throw it out because stick welders are pretty cheap, but it's a good place to start because it's you have to actually be good to do a stick welding. Like it's actually way harder. So if you start there and you learn it from there, you'll be better once you have the real tool or different tools.
Yeah. I mean, exactly. I don't even know like what different welders are what. I know there's like MIG and TIG. I don't know what they are and stuff. And I think at school we use like a torch with a rod with flux.
Oh, okay.
Or something, whatever that is. And yeah, I know there was like gas and stuff. You had to light it. But yeah. What else? I've been working on a new video, which I'm like 6 hours of editing in. It's probably, I reckon I'm like somewhere between a third and a quarter of the way done.
Are you building a house?
Probably like a 20-hour build. Have a guess how long the video goes for.
Like finished?
Yeah.
Like 20
for a 20-hour. Say it's a 20-hour edit.
I don't know. I don't track my hours like that. Like 20-minute video?
So, I
30
would say
seconds.
30 seconds.
Yeah.
Okay, you need to explain yourself a little bit.
All right, so my Clampmendation this week is actually to do with this, but I've been watching. It's like people on YouTube that make ads and stuff for Instagram and Facebook for companies. So it's like just like all B-roll turned into like a commercial in a way. So when I made the, I somehow got onto this guy's channel and I was watching it. And I'm just like in awe, just thinking, I would love to make these videos. So like in the future, I'm hoping that I can make like a 30-second like video, and then like, so you can watch my video, and then if you want to see how I actually made it, then I'll make like, then there'll be a second video of the actual like building of it, if that makes sense. So it's like 2 videos per project. Yeah. So when I made the activity gym that my wife wanted, the bigger one, I like filmed purposely just the footage to make like this little like ad video that goes for like 30 seconds. But like it's just really fun, like learning all these new techniques and stuff. And like, so you need to go through, edit down all the clips to like what you want. Then you need to add in all like speed ramping and transitions. Then you've got to do audio, like all the different sound effects and stuff, and then add music on top. And like there's so much into it, but it's just like, it's just really fun, like trying to do that. But then also on top of that, I'm trying to learn
6 hours you're enjoying it.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's good because like I'll edit something and like I'll track something. Like I pulled the miter saw down to cut a piece of wood, and I tracked it so that it will constantly be in the center of the frame. So like, I had my wife film for me, And like, so she moved the camera with it, but then I also edited it so like it's always in this, and then you play it back and it just looks so good that it just makes it all worth it.
Cool.
But yeah,
Kind of excited to see that. It sounds cool.
Yeah,
sounds very satisfying.
Really excited. I threw the drill up in the air and like it does a spin and then caught it. So like the camera moves with it and stuff. It just looks really good.
It sounds like you need to get on TikTok, Adam.
Need to what?
It sounds like you need to get on TikTok.
No.
Well, I mean,
they're
like
gonna monetize TikTok soon, so it makes sense to get on there now.
It's true.
If TikTok is anything, it's a fantastic source of animal videos. That's what that is one certainty in life.
I think I've looked on there like once or twice, like if someone sends a TikTok video to me or something, but I've never like been into it. But yeah.
For me, it reminds me of Vine. Does everyone remember
for
Vine?
Sure. Yeah.
I think that's the whole point of it. Yeah, and
it's kind of
it's
taken on
its
entirely
YouTube career
own
from Vine.
It's taken on its entirely own culture, though. Like at this point, it's kind of forked.
Yeah. And then that's pretty much it. But I've also been procrastinating on like the editing and stuff, playing No Man's Sky. It's called. It's a like Xbox, PlayStation, computer game and stuff. But they do cross-platform play. So like my mates play it on Xbox, but I'm playing it on my computer and stuff. So yeah, it's been fun.
Very nice.
But yeah, I'm so excited for this, like these videos, if I can get it down. But then, like 6 hours and 20-hour edit, but I'm still learning the program. So eventually I should get more efficient at it, you know?
Yeah. So have you had like a whole few days of using all your new toys?
A little bit, yeah. We with the camera, we took a few photos, and like my wife literally grabbed the camera off me straight out of the box and went and took photos of all her plants. Oh. And like they look amazing, but like I didn't even get to change any settings and stuff. And I'm like, now that I've changed all the settings, go take photos. Because like it wasn't even in like the highest resolution possible to take photos. I hadn't changed like the aperture or the ISO or anything. Like now I've fiddled with all that. And it's really, really good.
Nice. That's awesome.
But yeah. And my wide angle lens came, so it's such a big difference between like the wide angle and normal lens. So I've got two lenses now. And then laptop's been fun, just playing games. We're not editing.
Have you rendered any video yet?
No, because I'm still editing my first video.
I want to hear how fast it renders, because
I reckon it'll be pretty quick.
Like Al from Al's Hack Shack said he got a new thing on one of the latest Fools with Tools podcasts, and he said it took like 6 seconds. He was like, I went to go make a tea and I came back and it was I went to leave and it's desktop. Yeah, but he might have built his own desktop, but I think what Adam bought is comparable.
Yeah, one of my good mates has a desktop. He's had it for a couple of years, and he said the laptop I bought costs the same amount as what he paid for his desktop, and it's double everything.
Damn. Yeah, it's crazy how the specs of brand new computers just blow things 5 years ago out of the water.
Yeah. It's like there's a whole law about it, like a Moore's law.
Oh. No, I just invented that. What are you talking about?
You know what's funny? Like that Moore's law, like it stopped being relevant for a while, but people still refer to it.
Oh, really? It's kind of like peaked?
It's peaked. Like it was like really true for a long time that like the computing power doubled every year or whatever it was, but it stopped doing that for a bit. Like, anyways, that's a whole engineering thing that no one else cares about.
I have the Zoom call on half my screen, and on the other half I have like the Google Doc that we use to like type what we're going to talk about and stuff. And all I keep looking over and seeing is coronavirus glory hole sex.
Yeah,
because Grant put the link in for the glory hole thing.
Yep. Well, it's national news, so
yeah.
If the national news can put it on, we can talk about it.
You know what's really funny? I Although it was my idea to not have a topic one week, like I was a bit concerned that we would like not really get started. It's taken us 45 minutes to talk about what we've been working on for a week.
Yeah, let's dive into this no topic.
Yeah.
Well, that's where like I went into a lot more of what I'm doing than I normally would.
Yeah, same.
Knowing that, right? Like, and then kind of asking for, a little bit of advice on that situation with no
Glory
filming.
holes.
No.
Yeah. No glory holes. No glory holes,
Yeah. So, I don't know.
Does glory holes make it an explicit episode?
I don't think so.
Well, if global news says it, as Grant said.
True.
I don't think it does.
Oh, now it is. I'll beep out one word.
The glory hole word? Because there's a lot of those.
I'll beep out glory, so we just keep saying holes.
Anyways, there's no good reason for us to continue this conversation. Does anyone have any non-topic related things that they want to talk about?
I had something I wanted to ask you about, but now I don't remember what it was. So that's really annoying. And that sentence was pointless.
It's okay. I still love you.
I've found recently that I've been doing a lot more list making before I leave the house. And I find that because it's like sometimes you have to line up for 30 minutes to get into a store. And I found that I often don't forget things like I used to. I'll often go to the store, get all the things I actually need because I've thought about it so much. Because I know I don't want to go back. That it's a lot better. But
that's good. Actually, you know what? That reminds me of something. I
always make a list before I go.
Okay, that's a great segue into this. So, how are you guys in like going to hardware stores to get supplies? As a general experience, how is your state of mind in that situation?
Walk in, get what I need, get out. Don't talk to me if you work there.
Okay.
Because I know more than you.
Okay,
so Grant, what about you?
Generally, I go in and then sometimes, depends on what, like, if I'm doing the job, I go in, get the thing, and leave. If I'm just like, I'm like, oh, I've got an hour to kill, I'll walk through every single aisle to try and get inspiration.
Yeah. Okay. So I did that this week. I went to Home Depot just for the sole purpose of getting inspiration and a little bit of like active problem solving for my Because We Make Enlighten Us Challenge project. Mm-hmm. And sometimes what I do when I go to Home Depot, like the hardware store that I usually go to in Canada, is like, I'll go in with 90% in my head of what I need, but I'm still kind of like designing in my head as I'm there. So I'm like, when like you're in the aisles and you're comparing two pieces of hardware and you're saying like, okay, you're just kind of doing it all in your head and you don't have it 100% done. That stresses me out so much and makes the hardware store experience terrible. I have realized. I figured out that when like to going to the hardware store, I need to like, it's just so much better for me to plan exactly what I need or go in an entirely like, I'm just perusing, looking for inspiration. If I go in like trying to design on the fly when I'm there, it's just like such a negative experience, I find.
I think I know why, and it's because Home Depot carries only like it doesn't carry what you needed.
Yes,
when it
they
comes
carry
to those,
like two options for each thing. That might not be great. Either one.
You need to go to like a Burfasco or something like that.
What is that? That's an amazing
Burfasco?
word.
Yeah,
yes.
It's like a metal. Like they sell every single nut and bolt ever made.
Yeah,
that's the type of place you need to go.
I need to partition out the parts of a project that I'm actively designing in the store and go to that specialty store for those things. That's what it sounds like.
When it comes to like, if you want hardware, you need to go to a hardware supplier. That's what they do. They have those like Like you're just like, I want something that has like coarse thread on one side and like fine thread on the other, and I want it to I don't know why, but it needs to also have a hook somehow. Oh, they have that, and they're like, okay, great. Like, but if you're trying to look for that in Home Depot, it's like you have here's a T-nut. That's it. That's all we have. So
that was like me when I was getting the bolts for my flip cart. I went up to someone. I said, "Look, I need this length of bolt, but I want the thread to go the entire bolt, not halfway and then be just flat, you know." And they just kept saying to me, "Oh well, there's these ones." I'm like, "That's exactly what I just told you. I don't want. It's half thread." Oh well, they got these. No, but I need this size. Oh yeah, but it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, that's why you need to go to.
Yeah,
you need to go to a hardware. Store.
Yeah. So before you go to the hardware store, do you just go? Do you think to yourself, "All right, well, I need this. I'll go get it," or like me, I think, "All right, well, I need this," and then I'll go on their website, look it up, and then I'll go there and get it.
It kind of depends. Like, yeah, if it's really specific stuff, I'll look on the website. If it's things that I know for a fact they have, I won't really bother. But I think a great takeaway from this all is that like most of the stress comes from looking for specialty hardware. And for that, I should now I can just 3D print it if it can be plastic. And number two, I should go to a hardware store. And then once I have my machine shop in 5 years, I'll just machine everything myself.
Yeah.
I think I need to look around more what's near me that is not Bunnings.
Yeah.
Totally. I think you'll end up saving some money.
Probably. But not just that, I'll probably actually be able to get what I want.
Yeah. That's the big thing. Like one day I needed I can't remember what size drill bit it was, but I needed like a very 8.5 millimeter drill bit. It was like, I have like a drill bit set that comes with like 1,600 drill bits, but it didn't have this particular size. But I needed that size to make threads and something. Anyways, I went to this Brafasco, and boom, they had it. It's the most expensive drill bit I've ever bought. But you know what it did? It literally drilled better than any other drill bit I've ever bought. Yeah. Because I go to Canadian Tire, which is like probably like your Bunnings, but or something like that. But they have these like 1,600 drill bit combo things. They're like titanium drill bits, and they go on sale for $10 on Father's Day and Christmas. So twice a year they go on sale for $10. You get like 600 drill bits.
I know exactly what set you're talking about.
Yeah, I have 2 of them, and they suck. I literally, if I use one of the drill bits, I take it and I throw it out.
Yeah, I don't care what consumable.
It's literally consumable.
I have a kit like that too.
Right, but I don't want drill bits to be consumable. I don't like that's such a bad environmental impact. But they're so cheap that it's hard to say no to.
Yeah, it's dangerous. Okay, we should move on to our Clampmendations because we're almost an hour in, at least from when we hit record.
Yeah, well, I'll move on to mine because I was actually going to say your list thing was a segue for me too. So my Clampmendation this week is a guy named Daniel Schiffer. I think he says it at the beginning of every single episode. I knew I'd probably stuff it up. I think it's Schiffer. And yeah, so he makes all these like B-roll ad videos for Instagram and Facebook. Like companies pay him just to make an ad. And yeah, speaking of lists, like he was saying, because all his videos are how to record the B-roll. I think he's done a couple on editing, but mainly he's like, I'm not going to do a full video on editing because it'll take me so long to show you. But it's like how to get certain shots and stuff and all that. And he said so when I filmed for this ad thing, it was like specific shots that I needed for it. It's not like how you would normally film in your shop. You just you film stuff and then you edit it together. You have to think beforehand of what you want the video to look like and that. So he's like, make a list of every tool you're going to use and then make a list of different shots you could do for each tool and then decide what you actually want to film and stuff. So really interesting. But yeah, if you watch any of his videos, like how to film something B-roll. Like he did a pizza shop commercial and stuff. Like just watch one video and you'll just be hooked. Like it's insane.
Cool. Yeah, that's definitely a rabbit hole because the world of like internet marketing is itself like a massive industry.
Yeah.
And I have to do that whenever I'm thinking of doing any kind of like special effects.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to think it out ahead of time, or else you don't have the shots. And once you don't have the shots, that you just throw it out and you move on to the next thing, right? Like,
yeah.
Anyways,
it's funny. He's done one video on how to make those sort of videos with a tripod, because like you pretty much need a videographer, like someone to hold the camera to get the shots you need. But even like the tripod one's just amazing. You watch it, it's like, how would I ever make that? But yeah,
that's cool.
Cool. Grant, you want to hit it next?
Oh, me? Okay. So I'm gonna recommend the Palette Punter, who's changed his name to I want to say Daner, but I'm sure I'm pronouncing it wrong. Daner Design.
Daniel.
I don't know how to pronounce it. It's his last name, and now I feel bad. But whatever. He's a good guy, Australian guy. So that's why I can't understand how to. I don't have that accent to say his name correctly, so I just won't wreck it. Anyways, he made a really cool palette.
That's how I would say it.
Right, but it's not that, because it's Dainer.
Oh, you misspelled it in the Google Doc.
Yeah, you misspelled it in the Google Doc.
That's because Danier is a leather company in Canada that's actually shut down now.
Excuses.
I don't know what you're talking about. It's spelled correctly in the Google
Doc. So it'd be Dana.
Daner.
Yeah,
Daner Design. Anyway, that's not how I would spell it or how I would pronounce it, but he's a really good guy. And he made a chair out of pallet wood that was like bent, using like some vacuum forming and stuff like that. Anyways, it's a really cool looking chair. So you guys should go check it out.
Cool. It sounds awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So my Clampmendation for the week, do you guys listen to the podcast, How I Built This with Guy Raz?
No.
Oh, okay. So I don't know if everyone would get as sucked into it as I would, but it's a fantastic podcast. It's actually under NPR. Guy Raz is a great interviewer, and he does interviews with mostly founders of companies, as well as, like that's largely what it is. So he has one with like James Dyson. He has one with like the founder of Ben and Jerry's. Before I came on today, I was listening to one with the guy who founded Tempur-Pedic. They are all so interesting. And I used to stick to the ones of like companies that I was interested in, or I was like, oh, like that's probably a really interesting story. But I've kind of just thrown that out the window, because even if I have never heard of the company, or it's not interesting, or I'm not interested in the company, every story is so like riveting. In terms of like a story, it's probably like one of my favorite things I've listened to. It's probably like my favorite podcast I listen to. And it's, I've kind of it's been like a weekly listen for the past few years, but I've realized I've never really like plugged it. And it's been a really positive thing in my life. And I think it's one of the things that's made me realize that, I want to make kind of like my own ventures a priority in my life, just because of like how into I get these episodes and these stories. I'm like, this is like the most interesting thing in the world. So I really cannot recommend it enough. If you're interested in like entrepreneurship, or just how these companies got built, how people got these ideas and things got the way they were. Like they have something for everyone. They have ones about chefs. They have a really interesting one with Logic, who is a rapper who started his own record label. He's like totally independent. So that one's super interesting.
Logic does that, was that 1300 number song? Yeah.
I'm not sure. I saw him live though. I saw him in Massachusetts.
Yeah. It's a song about like depression and.
Oh yeah, like that's on brand for him. He's definitely done like an album about that. Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. That's a good album. I think a lot of people in our community, if they don't already listen to this podcast, would get a lot from it. Yeah,
Cool.
So that's my Clampmendation.
Well, once I catch up on like the 17 other podcasts that I'm behind on, I'll give that one a look.
Nice.
I just like.
Do you get far enough behind on one that you just like, I just cannot be bothered to listen to it?
Yep.
Yeah. Same.
I did that. Like I love Bill Burr, and I actually really like his podcast, and I think he has a lot of really good things to say. Like when Colin Kaepernick was kneeling, he got asked, what are your thoughts on this? And he went, if this guy making this amount of money think there's a problem, I think I want to listen to him. Right? It just seemed like this like super logical, like, oh yeah, that makes sense. This guy who's clearly like at the top of like, he's making good money, and if he thinks there's a problem, I think we should probably listen to him. I just went, that makes so much sense to me. So that's the kind of thing that I just go like, his logic is great, but I've fallen behind his podcast, and I'm just like, I can't catch up now. Like,
yeah, well, he does 2 a week, and like I pop in and out like but I used to listen to it pretty consistently, especially when I was taking the subway every day to school. I've replaced that recently with his podcast with Bert Kreischer, which is the Bill Burt podcast, which is hilarious.
Really?
I also really recommend that. Yeah, it's so good. They had one this week with Dave Portnoy, who's the founder of Barstool Sports.
Oh yeah,
who's quite a character. It's an entertaining one.
When you say on the way to school, I assume you mean like to college or something.
Yeah,
but in my head, I think like high school.
No, I did not. I was not in an urban enough environment to take the subway.
I'm not that young.
No, he was just too like posh to take a subway when he was in high school.
Yeah, I wasn't living in the suburbs or anything.
Yeah, I was actually talking to someone at work the other day about like the same thing. They were saying that about Joe Rogan. Like the Joe Rogan podcast, they only now listen if it's someone that they want to listen. Like the host is the guest is someone they want to listen to, because it's just too much.
It's a big time commitment.
Yeah. Yeah. So before we go, I want to thank our Patreon. We have one. But anyone who becomes Patreon on our F Clamp level gets a shout out. So big shout out to Leroy from Big Rock Timberworks, and we'll also have him linked in the show notes. And if you do want to support us on Patreon, we'll have a link to that as well. Even for $1 a week, you can get the after show and pre-show if there is one.
Yeah,
there's always something. Right. It's just whether or not it's an after show, a pre-show, or just somewhere in the middle we decided we needed to cut out because it didn't fit with the rest of the episode. There'll always be something.
Or there might be two. There might be a pre-show and an after show.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yes. Any other business before we go?
Well, you should.
We don't have a review.
Right. We should mention the part of the podcast where Morley does an accent based on where he thinks the people might have come from based on their name. And yeah.
So if you live somewhere that has a really tough accent, make sure you leave us a review.
Please. I need to work on my game. It'll be good skill building for me.
And so make sure, like, in it, just say what your accent is. So if you're from the US, don't just say USA, because that's like he'll just
give me a city.
Yeah, say like Texas or something.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right, cool.
Yeah. Cool. So where can everyone find us? Do you want to go, Morley?
You can find me at Morley Kurt everywhere. Where can everyone find you, Grant?
You can find me at the Grant Alexander everywhere except for Twitter.
And you can find me at Maker Mackie everywhere as well. And you can find us collectively on Clampcast on Instagram.
And you know what else? I'm going to mention something that we don't mention very much because someone has finally found our Facebook page, and we have one. We have a Facebook group, so I'm the little admin there. So if you see if you go and find Clampcast on Facebook, and then Clampcast responds to you, it's me. If Clampcast responds to you on Instagram, that's Adam. And eventually we might have a Twitter, and if Clampcast responds to you on that, it's Morley.
That's funny. All three platforms are run by someone different.
It's like when the kid like asks their parents for things separately because they know they'll get different answers.
we have the same person message all three of us separately.
That's awesome.
All right. Well, on that, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Straight away because, yeah.
So I was fully expecting, as usual, that I would roll in and you guys would already be here. So I had this song queued up.
Always there when you call, but I'm always on time.
Exactly. I'm not always there when you call, but I am always on time.
Yes. And baby, you're mine.
Is that the next lyric?
I have no clue. But
I'm not really up on my Ja Rule and Ashanti discography.
That is from when I was in high school, so it was released whilst I was, listening to lots of different types of music.